Well, hello there, and welcome to a tutorial series for Remnants of Naezith. This is going to be a three-part series, a remake of a previous series that I made outlining some of the basic and then more advanced movement mechanics in this game. My name is XEpicCatX. I am currently the rank 2 player in the game at the time of recording, previous rank 1, and currently the speedrun record holder. I've spent a lot of time playing this game, so hopefully my knowledge can help out through this tutorial series. In this first video, we are going to be taking a look at the bare bones basic, which is the 5 main inputs of the game, how they behave, and a few interesting things that you may or may not know about them that help us to understand some of the more advanced techniques. So the first thing that we're going to be taking a look at here is the left and right inputs. These are the basic inputs in this game. They let you move in one direction. A few things about these inputs: they cap your speed out at 350. As you can see on the bottom right, there is a speedometer that has our speed gradually increasing to 350. The directions do not instantly give you 350 speed, but instead gradually increase your speed up to the cap limit. If you are using a non-analog input system, so for example a keyboard or a controller that has separated direction inputs like a PlayStation controller, and you press two directions at the same time, the most recently pressed direction will take precedence and you will travel in that direction. A couple of other things: while you are in the air, if you press the opposite direction you're moving from for a short enough period of time, it will not instantly change your direction. So for example, if I'm moving through the air and I tap right, you can see I very slightly continue falling to the left, not by much, but it is nice to know that you can press a direction and not instantly change directions like that. The controls are tight, but they are not that tight. The last thing about direction inputs, which, surprise, there's this much information about them, is that you can use direction inputs while you are sliding along walls. If you are sliding down a wall, the direction input into the wall will slow you down to a maximum speed of 323. And if you are sliding up a wall, you get no penalty. It does not impact your speed at all. So just to show this off, you can see that if I bounce up the wall, I reach this height up here. If I bounce while pressing into the wall, I am reaching the exact same height. And then on the way down, I can slow myself down by sliding along the wall. So left and right inputs are not super in-depth when it comes to a lot of other mechanics, but there is a little bit of nuance to them. The next input we're going to look at is the jump input. And the jump input is very useful, one of the most commonly used inputs, surprise, in a platformer. And the jump input in this game instantaneously gives you vertical speed. You can see on the bottom right the ms.y section, which is our y speed, instantly jumps to a rather large negative value, meaning that we start traveling up very quickly, and then gravity takes hold of us and moves us in the other direction. The longer you hold your jump, the higher you go. So you can see I can do little tiny short hops here by tapping the jump button, or I can hold my jumps and do longer hops like this. You can also jump off of walls indefinitely, unless the wall you are trying to jump off of contains slime, like this. You'll get that nasty squelching sound and won't be able to jump off of it. You can also double jump in the air. After pressing your first jump, you can jump again in the air, and you are always granted one mid-air jump. This includes if you decide to run off a platform, you get your mid-air jump, but only one jump. Whereas if you jump off a platform, you get your mid-air jump afterwards. Just like the original jump, your double jump depends on how long you hold it for how much height you gain. So if you do two small jumps, you gain very little height for your double jump. If you do two big jumps, you gain a lot. The next input that we have is dash. The dash input instantly grants you 350 movement speed in the direction that you are facing the direction you are traveling. So you can see here, I press dash and my movement speed jumps to 350 instantly. The dash effect lasts for 0.5 seconds, but your character gains a small immunity to projectiles for an extra 0.1 second after that, so 0.6 seconds. As you can see by the slight change in color of my character's pants. The dash bar at the bottom shows how much dash you have using the meter. You can store up to 2.5 charges of your dash, and at each of those white tick lines, you are allowed to dash once again. If you have dash currently recharging, you are actually able to buffer your dash before it reaches the line to immediately input it once it's charged. So if I use all my dash, just like this, and then I hold my dash input, you notice that I dash as soon as it is ready. If you try to input a dash while it's not ready, you will hear a very strange sound that increases its pitch as it recharges. Your dash does recharge over time and recharges even faster if you are standing still. You notice the bar zips right up there. The dash will be very useful for a lot of different techniques. Dash can do some really wonky things with our movement, as well as the direction inputs, jumps, and the last thing to talk about, which is the grapple. The grapple is single-handedly the most important input in this game. Everything about this game revolves around how you use the grapple input, how you manage your grapples, and how you move your character around your grapples. You'll notice that the grapple always fires off at a 45-degree angle, and this direction is actually relative to where your character is and how they are moving. What I mean by this is if your character is falling, the grapple will predict your falling speed and fire out a grapple so that when it hits the wall, it should be at a 45-degree angle. This can lead to some very interesting effects, like this, where you can see my grapple isn't really at a 45-degree angle. It should be aimed up here, but because it tried to predict me falling and got interrupted by the ground, it fired off at a very strange spot. For the most part, you can trust your grapple to fire off at 45 degrees every time, and it will latch on to anything that is not made of stone or metal. So that is any walls, any lasers except for red ones, and anything like that you can grapple onto. Once you grapple onto an object, it will move you in a circular arc, like so. You can swing back and forth, depending on the direction that you are pressing. If you grapple onto a larger wall, you can create a larger circle, like so. And the important part about the grappling hook is that it permanently increases your maximum speed. So for normal movement, we have a maximum speed of 350, whereas if we start grappling, you can see my movement speed jumps up to 748, 708, and we hold on to that movement speed until we either bonk a wall, skate over some water, or die. Or change directions as well, I guess. There is no air resistance or ground resistance in this game, so you don't have to worry about jumping off of the ground or anything like that. Your speed will always stay at whatever it gets set to from your grapple. You can see whether I run or jump. Right now I have 450. I bonked a little bit there, so I lost some of it. The two most important things about your grapple, number one, is that the longer your grapple is, the higher the speed you will gain from it. So to show that off here, if I do a short grapple on this wall, if I actually hit the grapple on this wall, my speed is 664 before I hit the water there. If I do a longer grapple on this wall, my speed is 812 before I hit the water. Longer grapples, because you are holding the grapple for a longer amount of time, give you a higher speed. The second important thing about grapples is that when you grapple something, it resets your ability to double jump in the air. This means that you can grapple, double jump, grapple, double jump, grapple, double jump, and you can continue doing this as long as you have a spot to grapple. This is very useful on levels where you need to maneuver around obstacles, need to set your height, and also very useful for keeping yourself a set distance away from the ceiling so that you always get long grapples and therefore more speed. You will very, very rarely see ghosts of top players where they are close to ceilings like this. You will much more commonly see ghosts where we are trying to keep long grapples off of the ceiling to get as much speed as possible. So hopefully that has been informative, a lot of nuance even to just the basic movement tech. In the next video, we'll take a look at some of the combinations of these movement techniques and get looking at some more advanced stuff. So hopefully I will see you there, and thanks for watching.